Hi, I'm Amanda and welcome to Self. On this podcast, I share ideas, experiences, and have conversations to explore the self. By developing our own self-awareness, we can hopefully show up better for others and for ourselves to all live happy and healthier lives. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about kindness and how to better practice kindness towards ourselves and to others. When I say the word kind, what comes to mind for you? For me, I would define kindness as behavior or actions that are generous, considerate, caring, helpful, supportive, and understanding. Kindness, I think, is something that we hopefully have all experienced and we can feel and we can recognize when it's in action, but sometimes can be a bit harder to fully just capture into words. It's something that really leans on empathy and compassion and is something that is displayed through thoughts, actions, and speech. When we're able to practice kindness towards ourselves, we better position ourselves to practice kindness outwardly to others. And I think vice versa applies as well. Kindness is something that continues to build upon itself and fosters kindness. So the more that we experience it and show it, especially outwardly to others, and even on display when we show kindness towards ourselves and others can recognize it, that has such a profound domino effect on the world around us. And I believe that when people experience kindness, they also want to show kindness to others. I guess, if you've ever experienced someone showing kindness to you very unexpectedly and how good that made you feel, perhaps for the rest of the day, and perhaps encouraged you to then go ahead and do something kind towards someone else. I think the way that I've really experienced it in my life has been through a lot of generosity from friends. And so as a result, there's just this genuine desire in me to want to be generous with others. I've experienced so much generosity in my life. And so when I've been in a position to be generous with others, I've wanted to as well. And it's so interesting how by practicing something that might feel a bit foreign or a bit different than what you're used to, just continuing to do it, how that begins to shift your mindset and your behavior, and it becomes something that's very natural. And so when we talk about practicing kindness, I like to see it through thoughts, speech, and actions. And I like to start with thoughts because often that's where it begins. We think stuff all the time, right? And I think towards ourselves, if you're anything like me, perhaps you have quite a harsh inner critic. We can blame ourselves and be, pretty critical of ourselves, perhaps sometimes more so than we would be towards others. And for a long time, I don't think that, kindness wasn't something familiar to me. So it wasn't something that I practiced towards myself. And when I made the decision, and it was an active decision and a choice to be more kind, that meant I had to take some kind of action and do something different than what I was doing. So something that I have practiced before and that I still enjoy doing is journaling and writing down 3 things that I love about myself or that I'm really grateful for about myself. And then I also do the same towards others and through the world around me. So that practice of gratitude begins to shift your mindset, because then you start looking for things that are great in the world and in yourself. We can, often be pretty harsh when it comes to just messing 1 or 2 things up. And again, we might not be so harsh towards others if they were to do the same. But we can say, oh, like, I'm so lazy because I didn't do this, and I'm such, like, I often, as a joke, I do call myself dumb and stupid a lot because I do make some really dumb choices here and there and have like brain fart moments. But there's definitely a difference between kind of being aware of your own limitations and really holding yourself accountable, and then being overly critical to the point where you are looking down and you're beating yourself up over something in a disproportionate manner. So if we're talking about how to practice thinking kindly, I do believe that starts with a practice of gratitude towards yourself, towards others. So journaling that, and then starting to think kind things about others and about yourself. I'm a yoga teacher, and this is something that I like to acknowledge at the end of my practice, is getting my students just to go through 3 points and just a motion to symbolize thinking kind thoughts towards others and towards yourself, speaking kind words to others and to yourself, and then practicing kind actions. So thinking kind thoughts towards others can look like, this is something so wonderful. This is a trait that I really value about this person. Thinking kind thoughts towards yourself can be the exact same. It's about celebrating your wonderful qualities. It can be a practice of self-compassion. So in the times when you feel like you've messed up, rather than being critical, blaming yourself, and letting that negative self-talk become really loud, is being able to say, hey, you're human, like I'm human. I make mistakes. This is something I can learn from, and I can do better next time. Rather than being very judgmental and throwing a lot of negative words towards yourself. And that, I guess, ties in with kind speech. And often what we think about ourselves, we might not necessarily say out loud to ourselves in a mirror. We might think it internally. But then how do you speak about yourself perhaps towards others? I think we are in a time where we talk about self-love and self-care a lot, while at the same time, I'm not sure that we really give space for people to speak kindly and to celebrate themselves and their qualities. So perhaps when you want to celebrate great things that have happened to you, or achievements within yourself, or something that you're really proud of, share it. Say it out loud. Be proud of those things and speak kindly about yourself in the same way that you would towards others. If someone has achieved something great or has shown qualities that you really admire or feel inspired by, and you would speak about them positively towards another person, why can't you do the same for yourself? And I know that can feel pretty uncomfortable and weird, and perhaps, there are thoughts or feelings of feeling boastful, or the idea that we're, like being proud in this strange way. But, ultimately, I think if we want to talk about really loving yourself, then part of that is just celebrating what's wonderful about you. So do that. Practice speaking kindly. And that can also look like going into a mirror and speaking kind words about yourself to yourself, not only to others. And when we do that, when we're able to recognize wonderful things within ourselves and speak it, to recognize it out loud, we also do the same for others. It becomes more natural for us to then celebrate things within other people. And finally, kind actions. I just knocked the curtain there. We tend to find it easier to do kind things for others more than we do for ourselves. So that practice of kindness to yourself can be giving yourself a break, finding time for rest, doing things that take care of you. And if you haven't listened to my episode on rest versus recovery, then this is your cue to go and do that. But yeah, that whatever actions that you might show to others that you would consider kind, whether that's being helpful, supportive in some way. I mean, kindness can be shown in the smallest of things, like opening a door for someone, or, giving up your seat for another person to sit down. It can be cooking someone a meal because you know that they're super tired and they've had a really long day. Whatever that is, you can also translate as ways to practice kindness to yourself. And maybe, that might be ordering yourself takeaway instead of cooking because you're exhausted. And what I've experienced is when I've done something kind for others and I've seen the joy that it brings them, I feel good and they feel good. And it's this perpetuating cycle of kindness that is such a beautiful thing to have in the world. Kindness fosters kindness. And so if we continue to put out and practice kindness in the world, I mean, maybe this sounds like really woo-woo and hippie or whatever, but we all then genuinely can be happier and healthier individuals. When I told myself that I wanted to be a kinder person many, many years ago, I think a lot of the time that came with being very intentional about my actions. And the great thing about kindness is that it is ultimately a choice. And we're able to freely choose to show a beautiful side of humanity. Because we all have a choice to be kind. We don't have to be. But when we do choose to be, it's just such a wonderful thing. We end up feeling better about ourselves and feeling better towards others. And for me, that just makes the world a better place. So, yeah, let's all be kinder to others and to ourselves. I'm definitely interested to hear how you practice kindness in your life. If you do, if you don't, and what that looks like when it's directed towards yourself. If you've got any ideas or any tools that you use to show kindness, towards others and to yourself, please let me know in the comments. Thank you for listening and tuning in today. I release episodes every Thursday, and you can listen or watch this podcast. You can watch on YouTube or listen anywhere you get your podcasts. So thanks again, and I will see you next week. Bye.